Hi, it's Stephen here from Sound of a Nation Wave, and we're just going to quickly do the review for the December month ahead spread, etc. And we're just going to quickly run through what the spread was, and then talk about it, and then give an assessment of the daily draws. So, we had what we leave behind was the Emperor, and what we take forward is the Six of Pentacles. So the way I can remember that I took this was that what we leave behind is a too rigid structure. That maybe we've been a bit too inflexible in our approach to things, and the way that we're it's got to be done a certain way. But maybe we need to be able to be a bit more flexible and adaptable, a little bit of give and take, which was, to me, was the words that I got from the Six of Pentacles. So leave a bit of that, solid, rigid sort of outlook, and have a bit more give and take, a bit more flexibility to adapt to things as they move along. Then we had the external focus was the Four of Winter Wands. Be a bit more celebratory, be a bit more giving thanks and celebrating our achievements and putting a bit more joy into it to combat this the seriousness of zoomed in too much there. Okay, the seriousness of which was represented by the Emperor card, to have a bit more fun with things. The inner focus was the Winter Tower, the Tower card, and that was enabled to be a bit more flexible. Sometimes we have to deconstruct some of the things that we have within us, the structures, the things that we've put up inside ourselves that may be barriers. Because maybe we live we feel the cold and the rigidness and the harshness of the world around us at the moment, and so we've been putting up walls, and maybe we need to bring some of those down and be a bit more giving of ourselves, and also being open to receiving, again, like the Six of Pentacles. So a bit more openness, a bit more flexibility, a bit more joy and thanks and gratitude for the things that we have, rather than feeling bad about the things that we don't. So that deconstructing some of those inner beliefs that we have, or inner perspectives, maybe we need to suddenly change those in order to be more flexible. And the Artisan of Winter Pentacles, or the Queen of Pentacles, was the general energy of the month. And to me, the queens are the nurturers, the developers, the things that foster and care for things, and be a bit more caring to ourselves, but also looking after our needs, our physical needs, making sure that we're fed properly, making sure that we're eating the right stuff, making sure that we get rest and all that kind of things, our practical needs. And we are thankful for the resources that we have. We may not be rich, we may not be millionaires, but we have things. We have things that we're in our lives that we should be thankful for, and we should be open then to nurturing that in order to open ourselves up to more that we may need later. But be thankful for what we have and make the most of it. Make the most of it to work to our advantage. So, and we may need to be flexible and adaptable in order to do that. So that, I believe, was the month ahead spread. So, yes, I think that was borne out through the month. We seem to, well, first of all, we'll go through the suits. We'll go through the suits as usual. There were 7 swords cards. A wands card came out 6 times, a cups 2 times, a pentacles 2 times, and the majority were majors. So it was a time of significant sort of spiritual and deep development and processing, a time for going inwards and doing some really deep inner work, part of the deconstructing the old things that don't help us anymore. So the fact that there was mostly majors is significant there. Of all these cards, only the Emperor card came out, and that came out twice. So the emphasis there, I believe, was on what we leave behind. All the others, if we decide to leave behind that rigid outlook, and be more flexible, then everything else can start to fall into place. And I think that was the major lesson of December. So I'm trying to think of something else. There was the artisan, or not the artisan, the apprentice, the apprentice of Winter Swords, which was the Knight of Swords. But if you remember, it was she was standing, with her lightning bolt, which represented the swords, the ideas and actions, and she was standing more than them sort of moving fast. And I think one of the other major things of December was that it may be time to start taking some action, but we needn't rush it. You know how we often have the Knight of Swords on the horseback charging forwards at great speed. This was a different depiction. I meant to get that out before and show it, but I think we remember what that was. She was just stood there and holding this lightning bolt. Now she was channeling her energy, she was grounding our energy into action, but she was earthing it. She wasn't it wasn't too dynamic or movement, a lot of movement and speed. So we could there were actions, little steps that we didn't rush, actions that we're not to rush through. So it may be time to do things, but we can start slow, we can start gently. That's the other thing as well, that we seem to be getting gentleness coming in. Be a bit more gentle, don't need to rush things. Pay attention to detail, get the things right first and foremost before, charging ahead. And that seemed to be the general theme there. And the fact that came out at least twice, if not 3 times, in fact, I believe. Yeah, 3 times it came out. So yes, we can be flexible, we can take action, but we needn't try and rush the process. We could take our time with it. There's no, as long as we're moving forward, as long as we're putting energy into what we need to be doing, it doesn't matter. We can't rush over that process. We need to take our time with it. Now's not the time for rushing about. Winter time is often the time for slowing down and taking things steady. And if we do things, doing them slowly and carefully, there'll be other times further down the line for us to pick up the speed. But now is not one of them. So I believe very much that was the general message of the December month ahead spread, as well as the daily draws. So that is the review. The next step to do is to do the month ahead spread for January. Until then, thank you for listening. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you all again very soon. Okay, bye-bye.